Hello, I'm here to give a pretty quick review of an animated movie called Ron's Gone Wrong. I think this originally released in November. I don't know whether it was released simultaneously to streaming, but as it turns out, it was on Disney Plus. So I figured, hey, let's give it a watch. And this was on one of the streams, but basically I watched the trailer for the movie, and I thought it looked very average, very typical. But then I looked at the Rotten Tomatoes page for the movie and saw that it was getting generally positive reviews. At this point, it is now certified fresh at like 80% or something like that, and the audience reviews are very positive. There were mentions of how this movie was doing some thoughtful commentary and critique of big tech products, the role of social media in our lives. It was kind of funny because initially I didn't expect much from the movie, and then all of a sudden I expected a lot from the movie. Okay, I'll give it a shot. I want to see what it has to say, especially after I have been pretty consistently disappointed with how other children's animated movies have attempted to criticize big tech, social media, etc. The Mitchells versus the World, or whatever it was called. I thought that movie's criticism of big tech was incredibly weak and very, very basic. And as it turns out, Ron's Gone Wrong is doing basically the same thing. It is incredibly standard critique of big tech. It only ever comes across as the kind of criticism you would hear from someone who's getting a little bit older and watches a lot of CNN, and like that is the full extent of their understanding of how young people interact with social media and with tech products. I was very underwhelmed for the most part. The movie as a whole, in terms of like every individual aspect, not just the commentary on tech and its role in our lives, very standard, very normal. I'm sorry, I know that doesn't make for an especially exciting review, but honestly, it's fine. It is incredibly fine, I would say. The animation, it's what you would expect from a non-Disney, non-Pixar animated feature at this point. I think it's Locksmith. I think this is a brand new production company. I think this is their first animated feature film, distributed through 20th Century Fox. Just really typical. Character designs, nothing special. Storyline and structure, nothing special. Animation, glossy and impressive on a technical level, but I didn't get any strong sense of interesting art direction or character movement or anything like that. And that's something. Mitchells versus the Machines, oh, that's what it's called, had some fantastic animation, and the sense of movement is great, and then their incorporation of like 2D animation elements and sort of internet culture stuff, that was all really cool. But here, no, it's basically what you would expect. Kind of just looks one step up from an Illumination movie. Something I'm very interested in here. I already touched on how I don't think the criticism of big tech is really anything valuable or poignant here at all. It basically boils down to staying offline is a good thing, and being online all the time is a bad thing. Okay, sure. I mean, that's where we were in 2012. I think it's time to advance the discourse, even for kids. And that's the thing, is like, I didn't get the sense that whoever was writing the movie had a very good idea of like how kids are interacting with tech these days. And I also didn't get a feeling, this is obviously speculation, but like if I was a kid watching this, I wouldn't really understand what it was trying to tell me about social media, other than the fact that like it touches on, sure, kids can get bullied on social media, that can like, you know, define who you are for a very long time. What else? Everybody wants to get views, and it's kind of sad, and that it can be isolating. Okay, none of the kids in the movie ever really step away from all the online stuff or the tech stuff. Spoilers, at the very end, they're all still connected to everything, but just with wonky Ron programming. Oh, I'll get to that, I guess. Honestly, tell me, if you were a small child, tell me, what did it feel like the movie was trying to say to you about tech and social media? Please tell me. And if you have kids, I don't know, do you think there's a clear message here? And if there is it a helpful message? I don't really see it seems very muddled. It either seems simplistic or muddled. And I kind of go back and forth because there were a lot of potential avenues for messaging here. None of them really came out on top. I just don't see any cleverness or poignancy happening in the movie. This is a small point, but the movie uses real phone notification sounds, one in particular for Ron, almost constantly. I don't know, I guess it's supposed to like correspond with him learning something. I don't really know, but it's the bell sound effect, notification sound. Just make one. Just make a notification sound. Just make a sound. It sounds like it could be a notification thing, but it's not one used in the real world all the time. And then don't use it 17 times throughout the movie. And I don't know. I mean, I do think there's some interesting territory to be explored for people who want to kind of use real world notification sounds to disturb or like make their audience uncomfortable. For example, I'm sorry to do that to you, but like how many of you just broke out into a cold sweat? I don't know. I think you have to take into consideration that people have some different associations with notifications coming from their phones and other devices, and its usage here was like, maybe they're unaware. Oh, also, this is an incredibly tiny, nitpicky kind of thing. There was a moment where a kid from movie whose name is Barney, I think. He's trying to teach the bad robot things, the dumb robot, different things about himself. And he spelled color with the European spelling. It's C-O-L-O-U-R. And I know that the production company here, the animation studio, I think is in the UK, specifically in Great Britain. Was that a gag? Was that like funny? Or was it just kind of a silly mistake? It's not important either way. I just thought it was interesting to note. I don't know. Barney comes from probably Eastern European heritage, maybe like Yugoslavian or Polish or something. I thought the grandma character was a lot of fun. She definitely serves as like an old world presence, which can work just fine in a movie that's trying to get into ultra hip contemporary tech stuff. It's way too long. Oh my god, this movie is way too long. I'm sorry. It should not have been this long. It felt long, which is much more of a sin than just having a long runtime to begin with. It didn't need to be this long, I'm sorry. You could cut out a bunch of scenes, especially the giant middle portion where it turns into a hide the thing movie, a la Harry and the Hendersons, Monsters Inc., a multitude of other kids' movies where it's like, oh, we gotta keep a secret from adults, everybody else in our lives, some big, villain characters. I didn't enjoy a lot of that. I never really believed when they started to be friends. I don't know, like Ron's dumb and goofy, and I guess that's it. I guess that's the basis of their friendship, or that they just spend time together, which fair enough. I mean, real friendships can form that way too. I don't know, and so many of the reviews I've seen have talked about how, oh, this part's not so great, this part's not so great, but there's a lot of heart here, and the relationship between Barney and Ron is beautiful and heartwarming and genuine. I never felt that. That's just my thing. Spoilers, I mean, one of the final plot points is like, Ron's been updated to be like everyone else, and that's bad because Ron is special, right? And that's the thing, is like algorithms encourage homogeneity, so Ron is the anti-algorithmic force in the story. And then, so yeah, he gets fixed and he's like, no, you can't do that. He's not the same person anymore. His identity has essentially been erased. I don't just want him to do everything I want. And the idea of trying to recover his lost identity, I think, is an interesting one. And I think it makes really good use of the whole premise and the environment and tech stuff. But then the weird twist is, okay, Ron is special because he's different. He's working against the forces of homogenization where everything is exactly the same. But then Ron's big death thing is that he gets uploaded to the network, which means that all these bot toys then have his personality. So like, it's just another iteration of homogenization. It's just another example of where it seems like they had certain ideas for the story and what they wanted it to say, but they didn't really look into it that closely or like consider what they were actually communicating with the script. Oh, I'm tired of talking about these things. I didn't hate the movie. I think it's a-okay, and as always, if you like it, that's cool. As always, I give due respect to the people who made the movie, especially from a brand new animation studio. The animation is adequate. It really stopped being talked about after like release weekend. Yeah, I don't know. And in fact, I was going through, I don't often read critic reviews, but on Rotten Tomatoes, I was going through some of the critic reviews, and a lot of them were from just nobodies. I'm just like, oh, these are awful takes. I don't know what the point of including these is. But there was exactly one review snippet that I agreed with, and it came from some person writing for the New York Times. And I hope that this was the whole review, but it says something like, as family entertainment, it's fine. And that sums up everything. Mediocre. Trying to do something, in my eyes, it was unsuccessful. But I think we're done. Share your thoughts, blah, 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 comment. Look, we're on social media. Ooh, isn't that crazy? crazy how, like, we're talking about criticism of social media, but we're here right now. Whoa, think about it. Thanks for stopping by.